Alright, so I watched the vast majority of the episodes of the British sitcom Inbetweeners, the Inbetweeners. So let's talk about it. So, right off the bat, I will say that I liked the show. I thought it was a very good, solid, consistently funny show with a fair amount of, strong laugh out loud moments. Like you said in your other comment, it is a show that is, I can see being controversial because it is a show that does a lot of, edgier type humor. But I don't think there's much about it that's particularly offensive or, aged poorly. And I think it's fine as long as it's executed in a way that's effective and kind of has a point. And I think for the most part in this show, it does. It does kind of serve, the edginess does serve the stories and the characters and, the humor and what's going on in the show. Now, one thing I'll say about the show now is that on a personal level, it is a show that I struggled to relate to to a certain extent. And that's not to say that the show is not realistic, because I do think in a lot of ways it is. But just on a purely personal level, I didn't totally relate to it and connect to it because, I didn't live the kind of life that these characters live. I wasn't, trying to go out there in high school and have kind of a more wild kind of party and law breaking kind of lifestyle. I'm boring. Even, when I was in college or now as an adult, it's not the kind of stuff that I'm doing. Does that mean there's anything objectively wrong with it? No, not at all. It's just that on a personal level, it didn't totally connect with me. But I think in a lot of ways, it is a show that I enjoy and is very good. You know, the four main characters are interesting. I do like how a lot of British shows, in addition to not having to feel this need to have that many episodes, more of a quality over quantity thing. I like how they don't feel they need to necessarily have a lot of main characters. The show has four main characters, these guys here, and they're all pretty enjoyable. Among the group, I'd say my favorite is Neil. He gets a lot of laughs, and he has this kind of just sort of wholesome vibe, even though, like all the characters, he can be a bit of a jerk. I think that Simon is the one who's kind of the most relatable. He's sort of the everyman here. Will I enjoy? And then there's this dude here who, his whole character trait is just that he's a liar. And that could definitely be funny. I think he's maybe my least favorite character out of all of them, but he's not exactly a character you're supposed to totally like either. I think that's the case for all of them. These are characters who you're supposed to, laugh at more so than you're supposed to laugh with them. You laugh at the misery that they experience. And a lot of times, when they're experiencing all these negative things, you never really feel sorry for them too much because it's kind of all stuff that's, at the expense of their own stupidity and just kind of, bad actions, a little bit like an Always Sunny Philadelphia kind of thing, but the characters are younger. Similar amount of kind of edgy humor, there's tons of swearing and, there's nudity and there's, just kind of all kinds of raunchy type dialogue. But I think overall it's done in a fun way. I do find myself, despite not personally connecting to the characters, I do find myself kind of getting invested in the storylines and wanting to see what the characters do next, what's going to happen. And, it's not necessarily the most unpredictable thing ever, but I think there's a certain level of unpredictability to it where you don't know quite how bad things are going to go for these characters. You know that things are going to go poorly for them, but you don't know quite in the exact way. And there's a certain creativity and all that I appreciate. So, good show overall. I enjoy it. I recommend it. If you live in the United States, you can watch it on Tubi. If you, in the UK, if you haven't seen it, there's probably, I don't know, probably an easy way to access it. But, you can watch for free on Tubi with ads if you're in the US like me. So, yeah, check it out, and thanks for the recommendation, Patty.